is. But what they've come out and said is that now everyone who owns an other deed, so that's 50,000 people or NFTs at the moment, not unique owners, will be eligible to get a vessel airdrop to them. So now that's going to be another 50,000 NFTs. Okay. So they're calling this the Legends of Mara, which is under the other deed, other side. So you could argue is completely separate to the BAYC and Mutant APR Club that we spoke about previously. But they're saying it's going to be a 2D experience with its own companion collection. So that's the vessel, which is basically further diluting their ecosystem. And if we have a look over here, if we go to the website, it says here that the vessel shower is sacred to Kodas, but one vessel will fall upon every other deed. So whether you have a Koda or not, you will be able to claim a vessel, and the vessel is going to be a separate NFT to the other deed. Okay. But not all vessels are created equal. We understand that, right? And obviously, lands with coders, I would imagine, would get rarer vessels. But every single land is going to get a vessel. It can either fall under enchanter, farmer, or hunter. Those will be your three different types. These three types of vessels. Just going to scroll down a bit more over here. So the Enchanter vessel is hatched on Mara, grants buffs and bonuses, whereas the Farmer vessel, right, gives you fragments from other deeds, and the Hunter vessel will help you fend off violent threats or attacks. So the one's almost like an army to you, the other one's almost like your workers, your farmers, or people who can actually get things off the land. And then you've got your other one, which is your enchanter, which can get you extra benefits, right? And here, if you have a look, it's called the Odiac, right? The evolution of the system. I mean, look, they're definitely telling a great story. The bottom line here is that there's going to be another 50,000 NFTs. So just following on from what we were saying, there is definitely a concern on my side of this increasing dilution. There really is.
I think so. Depending on, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have factions of NFTs that are different, and some are going to be for trading purposes, some are going to be for collecting purposes, and some NFTs are gaming NFTs, which are not meant to be $100,000 assets. They're meant to be just a normal game asset, but just like we all want and have been saying for 2 years we want, it just becomes an NFT. And I think that's exactly what these game NFTs are going to be. They're not meant to be a 20 ETH floor, 10 ETH floor, 5 ETH floor. They're meant to be 0.001 ETH probably at some point, because they want a lot of people playing the game, and they need people who can only afford $12 to be able to join the ecosystem. And I think that's what those NFTs are going to be. And there will be some kind of separation that people are like, oh, these are the collectible versions of the Bored Ape system, the Bored Apes, the Mutants, and the Kennels. Everything else is gaming. And then certain gaming assets are more expensive, like the other deed lands, because I'm sure at some point you'll be able to charge for like every step that someone steps on your land or whatever it is to get some extra benefits. And I think that's how Bored Apes will start to give monetary benefits back to the holders. Like if you've been holding the other deed land, you now get airdropped X amount of money, just like royalties were. And I think that's what they're trying to build out, like that type of infrastructure. And that's kind of the way I see NFTs. And that's partially been helped because of the way Frank looks at the space. I've started to change the way I look. It's like, it can be everything. And, like Gary Vee is right. It's going to become everything and instead of or.
Yeah, I think that that's a very important distinction. And exactly what Cliff is saying is what you're saying, that they need more NFTs to gamify the ecosystem on the other deed. And as you said, to make the entry point, $10 is, what you really want. And again, as people come in and enjoy it, then they can try and aspire towards owning a land itself, or a Coda itself, or even a Bored Ape itself. So I get it. But look, I do think that, yeah, I think that there's a lot going on here. I do follow what's going on quite heavily. I pride myself on knowing what's going on in this ecosystem. And I must tell you, even this week alone, there's been a lot of stuff that I've had to look up because they've just gone all out. It's been announcement after announcement after announcement. We had another announcement from them.
I was just gonna say, like, what else would you want though? Like, how else would you want this stuff rolled out? Like, if you would you rather it be them drop everything instead of one announcement after another to give extra details each time? Like in the same way, if you bring up Pokemon or any game really, like I think what they're looking for is like in 3 years when it's all built out, instead of like waiting for 3 years to drop all the information when it's just all good to go, they're just like, we're just gonna let them know kind of how it goes as it goes. And I think that's I don't know of another way that they could do this without, because they're building it in front of us and they're dropping things as it goes so that people can stick with the ride. And that's how we wanted it though. Like when we talked about gaming NFTs, that's literally how we wanted it to happen. It's just happening now, and it might potentially be affecting certain people's bags. And because we haven't gotten to a point where we've actually distinguished the different styles of NFTs, everyone just throws it under Yuga and says they're trying to like do all this stuff and expand too fast and have too many NFTs. And it's like, well, I think we just need to change the narrative. And I think that will happen over the next few months as people go, wait a second, I think this is what Yuga's doing, and maybe that'll be from me making a YouTube video. I don't know.
For sure. No, I agree. I think the building in public is the way to go. My concern, not so much with the Otherdeed as it is with these heavy metals, is dilution. And it's a very real concern. And I think it's a concern with very real merit. On the gaming side, I agree with you 100%. I think that that's a different ecosystem, and that those are necessary. And we know that every single Otherdeed has got different resources on it and different things that I imagine are all going to be able to be separated from the land one day. So there's definitely is going to be a lot of those NFTs, and I think that that's less worrying, a lot less worrying than it is in the main ecosystem, like we see with these mecha apes coming. Because remember, you got the heavy metal, you're still going to have the mecha apes. I mean, like literally, there's too many assets. 20,000 Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. There's 10,000 Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, 20,000 mutants, another 10,000 kennel clubs at the very, very least. You got Meebits under there and CryptoPunks, arguably completely separate. You've now got another 30,000 heavy metals. You're also getting mecha apes coming. And it's getting too much for an ecosystem which only has like 5,000 daily active traders. You've got over 100,000 assets, not including Otherdeed and Otherside at all. They're leaving the gaming side out. And I just, like, at some point, there's just not enough demand for such a big supply.
I don't know though. I don't think it's about the demand. Like I think those NFTs aren't about demand, and so they're just
I'm not talking about the
getting
gaming. I'm not talking about the gaming. I'm talking about the heavy metal ones, which are going to turn into mecha apes. That's separate to the Otherdeed vessels that we've just discussed. So I'm saying even without the Otherdeed vessels, without Otherdeeds, which alone are 50,000, just Otherdeeds, vessels are going to be another 50,000. Then there's 10,000 Kodas. I'm not talking about the gaming side at all. I'm just saying Bored Apes, mutants, kennel clubs, and now the heavy metals. Those alone are 70, 80,000. Those are assets. That's not the gamified side. So I'm just thinking that could be too much. But look, as I said, every time I've doubted you, I've been wrong. So let's see. But that's my feeling on it. But the gaming side, I think they're doing great. They're building in public. As we said last week, everyone could bring along a friend, and never mind that, everyone could watch live, even if you weren't a friend or a guest and didn't have an Otherdeed. They really are trying to build something inclusive. That's different. The gaming side, the Otherdeed side, that's different. But the actual PFP side of things and their main collections, they continue to drop more NFTs.
I agree. But they're still doing collaborations